All right, this is Joe. You're listening to KQCK radio station out in the beautiful Santan Valley, Queen Creek, Phoenix, and the world. We have a special show today. We're getting ready to do for you here with Dr. Chris Lineberry from the Florence Unified School District, and I'm excited to have Dr. Lineberry back. Sorry. And amazingly enough, I just learned it's been a year and a half, and I was thinking I'm thinking it's been maybe 4 or 5 months.
No, it's been a while.
Wow, boy, time flies. When
you're having fun, it flies.
I must be having a ball. So, the last time you were in, we talked about all kinds of things from your new, what was new, the online school.
Yep.
I believe we talked about a health program you put together.
Childhood obesity initiative that Florence has taken on.
Let's jump right into it. I know we're kind of winging it here. We don't have any notes, which is great. That's the best way to do it. Let's talk about what's going on.
Well, a lot has happened with our school in the past year and a half. I think, when you and I were talking earlier, I think when you and I last spoke, I might have had 7 students.
7 students, that's right. I remember that.
We're at over 125 right now. We have about 20 kids who are set to graduate.
Wow,
this year.
Do they get to walk as well?
It's really cool. The principals at both Poston Butte and at Florence High School have been very gracious in allowing our students to be a part of their graduation ceremonies.
Nice.
So we're thrilled about that.
Which they should.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're one district. And, the thought is that we're going to be large enough, hopefully, after this year to be able to sustain our own graduation ceremony.
For sure.
But with the small size, it really makes it very meaningful, I think, for the kids to be able to walk with Poston and Florence. And many of them have attended Poston or Florence for a while before coming to us.
And for whatever reason, whether it be they travel or whatever it be, now they're doing the online school. And I'm so glad to hear how well that's working out.
Yeah, and we've even gotten accredited through the North Central Association, which basically is the Good Housekeeping seal of approval for schools. So the same organization that accredits all the high schools in our state has put their stamp of approval, or is recommending us for their stamp of approval at their June meeting.
What does that actually mean, since they're accredited? I mean, that has something to do with the college thing?
Well, it has to do with the college thing, but I think what it does for us is it lends substantial and meaningful credibility to the hard work that we're doing. I think that it helps our students to have better opportunities when it comes.
Really validates it rather than just going to something
Validate
to pass
is
through
the word I was looking for.
The school.
So, yeah. So what it does is it says that this outside agency has come in and has denoted and examined our school and determined that what we are offering is comparable to what schools in Arizona are offering that are preparing children to go to college. It's a big deal. It's a big deal, and it's a direct credit of the hard work of the outstanding staff that we have at our school and the support of our district office and, of course, our incredible students.
I know there's a Florence. I know Gary Nine is speaking tonight at 6:30, I believe, after a band thing at Skyline.
Okay.
I know because my daughter's in it.
Right.
Does that, know anything about that?
I'm not sure what. No, I think that may be about, just where we are as a district and the tremendous progress that we've made the Florence district as a whole has really come a long way in the past 5 years since Dr. Nine's been in as the superintendent here, and I think made tremendous positive gain during that time.
For sure. I know my kids. They enjoy it. I know they enjoy.
Well,
going.
We're working really hard.
They've been doing very well too. So I'm certainly glad about that. I'm trying to adjust your picture here at the same time. Sorry.
That's all right.
That's going to pop from a to total high def right now. There we go. Look at that. Looking sharp.
Do I have hair yet?
I'm gonna go ahead and add that on in just a second. So anyway, tell me about the online school and some of the new strides.
We've added a number of courses. We now offer the full kind of cadre of math, science, social studies, language arts, all the basics. We're also offering courses like psychology. We're offering personal lifestyle or fitness lifestyle design. We're offering
fitness lifestyle design. What do you get a personal trainer?
Well, actually, our personal fitness PE teacher, not only is she certified as a PE teacher, but she's also a certified personal trainer. So,
and this is virtual?
It's done virtually. A lot of what they do with where they self-report. But I think talking about self-reporting, they self-report in a lot of areas in a lot of different classes. But what they don't do is they don't take the exams remotely. All the exams
have to go
are
to a
taken
center.
in person. They all come to our school.
You know, it's funny you say that because I remember in my senior year, I did several courses through BYU for correspondence, and I thought, man, this is going to be a breeze. So, you know, I had a couple of buddies help me out, you know, and all that. And I'm like, wow, I'm doing awesome. Look at this. But then I learned 70% of my grade was when I go take the test in the place. I'm like, a place? What do you mean a place? It did not help me to have my friends help. And I got there, I was sweating bullets.
Well, I think, you know, and that's, I think, been a criticism and a valid criticism, I think, of online is that oftentimes, you know, how do you know that the kid is the one taking the class? So we have a couple of checks and balances in place where they do oral assessments with the teachers on the phone, and they do them. We use avatars, which is incredibly cool.
And they even look like them, don't they?
Yeah, they can actually take their picture with their cell phone and create an avatar that looks like them, and then attend meetings in these virtual environments as those avatars. And next year, we're going to be ratcheting that up even higher when we go to a cohort model. We'll be offering 2 classes every 9 weeks. Kids will be able to earn 2 full credits every 9 weeks. They'll only have 2 teachers that they'll interact with, so we'll really be able to focus on improving those relationships and rapport between students and kids and helping kids feel connected to our school. And I think that VenueGen, which is our avatar program, is going to be a great help for us in doing that. They'll be meeting weekly online in these virtual classrooms, and we can take them anywhere from a sailboat to a classroom setting to a science lab to an aquarium, a space station. I mean, it's really cool, and it's very engaging for the students, but more importantly, I think it really enhances learning because it helps kids feel connected to their teachers. And they feel absolutely fun, and it makes them feel connected.
Are you, when you're teaching, or whoever's teaching, are they seeing you?
They will be next year, far more than they are now. We will be doing weekly meetings in VenueGen. So what they'll be seeing is they'll be seeing their teacher's avatar directing lessons on a weekly basis. In addition to that, within these avatar or these virtual environments, the teachers can project webcams, can show PowerPoints, show videos, etc., all within that virtual environment.
And that makes a big difference.
And so it's not even a, I think sometimes during some of the online information sharing, you can fall asleep, and the person presenting won't know.
Unless you snore.
Exactly. Or you can put your phone on mute, and if you want to snore, you can snore if it's a conference call. But what I think is great about this is it is active engagement versus passive engagement. So if a kid's not paying attention and that teacher's walking back and forth across the virtual environment, that teacher ought to be seeing that kid's avatar following them across the room with their head. So the avatar head turns as the teacher walks. If the kid's not paying attention and the kid's looking up at the sky,
you got to hook them up to diodes, or how does that work?
They all use their mouse.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really incredible. Really incredible, and I think it's a great way for us to be able to engage kids and enhance learning. Which is obviously what we're about.
We can do screenshot presentations, and I can take you through websites and all that. I wish I would have known that. Is there a way we could show people how that looks or works?
Absolutely, we can log in, and I can create a meeting if you like.
Really? Well, give me a second. Let's talk about something else. I'll set that up here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right on. That's
be
really
really
cool.
neat.
Yeah, that's cool. I'd like to see what that looks like. Continue.
Okay. So we now are offering a variety of elective courses from, as I said, Spanish and a couple of others, personal lifestyle design, psychology. So next year we'll be adding an even wider variety. We are also teaching some computer courses right now, computing for college and careers. We have web design 1 and 2, computer programming. We're hoping to, in the future, add a photography course and really be able to broaden the scope of the offerings that we have for kids to offer a really well-rounded education.
So they don't just have to take government and this. They actually can take electives and all that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The cool thing is I have a lot of people say, well, how does Spanish work? Because a lot of Spanish is about talking and being able to conversate. Well, they can do that through voice recordings that they submit to the teacher for a grade, as well as conversations through the avatars where they have to speak. And then, what I think is great about what we're able to do, too, because we're here and we're local, is this staff is so willing to meet with kids on a variety of different levels, from telephone to avatar to in person if necessary, either at our site, at another site. We're able, because we're a part of the Florence Unified School District, to draw upon the resources of an entire district, which really is an advantage in a lot of ways. So, we've got those things going on, and then we're starting to work to build some of the social aspect of school, because we all know that although school academics is obviously the main reason we send kids to school, being able to socialize, conversate, and exist in that kind of a grouping is important.
Have you gotten out there and done any physical events to meet the kids?
Well, yeah. What we've done is we've had a couple of hikes. F Mountain, they just did F Mountain a couple of weeks ago. We did the homecoming parade in Florence, which was very cool. The kids had a good time. We rode in my truck, and they
nice.
Yeah.
What about dances and stuff like that? Does that get?
We haven't done that yet, but we're still at such a small size that up to this point that's been a real challenge.
Yeah, I guess so.
I do see, though, us being able to, as we grow, so will our capacity to deliver social events and others for kids.
Right.
We have a number of kids who are involved in high school rodeo. Some of our kids are.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Have won national championships. We've got state champions. Arizona's all-around cowgirl the past, I think, 11 years is one of our students. So we've gone to a couple of rodeo events and recruited students at those events. We've got students from Snowflake all the way to Tucson now. So in Goodyear and Buckeye and, of course, this area as well.
So they just come from everywhere.
They come from everywhere, and what's neat is in that avatar environment, they can all be in the same room, and they can all interact. So it becomes a shared experience.
How has all the budget cuts and everything affected this?
Well, I think it's affected us the same way I think that it's affected all educators in Arizona. It's presented a lot of challenges. At the same time, I think Florence has put itself in a position to try and at every turn ask the question, what's best for kids? And
right.
That's kind of the litmus test. That's where the decision's made. What's best for kids in this situation? We're a kids first district. What I love about working in this district is that's more than just words on a page, in my opinion. It's lived. I mean, I have kids in the district, and, I work in the district, obviously, but it's lived all the way from Dr. 9 all the way throughout our district. So I think that's a real, and it permeates every part of what we do. So have budget cuts impacted us? It's impacted everybody. But I think that Florence has done a good job of making sure that impact has stayed as far away as we can from kids.
And from the online school.
And from the online school. Well, from all the schools, but it really hasn't had a negative impact on us as a school individually.
What are some of the innovative things that you're doing over there as well?
Well, we've as a result of my interview with you last year, we have gotten on Ustream. We have our own Ustream channel now. So
you see that? So for the record, KQCK radio station helps
Absolutely.
our school districts. Fantastic.
Absolutely. I just did like we always do in education, and I saw a great idea, and I stole it. So,
hey, perfect.
We used it last year. We're offering summer school again this summer. We're going to do things a little differently this summer than we did last year, but last year's orientation meeting was done using Ustream. We've done orientations throughout the year using Ustream. I do weekly announcements on Ustream.
You do?
Record them.
Checking those out from now on.
Yeah, please do.
So you pre-record them and then put them on?
I do it live, and I keep it recorded, and I just let it live on the site. So, and then of course we have our site, we have our Facebook page, we have Twitter, we have all those ways that people can kind of follow us. We have a Droid app that I created.
You created a Droid app.
I did.
What does that do?
Well, I mean, it's actually done with one of those QR scan codes. So all you've got to do is scan the QR code, and you can actually download the app. It gives you all the information on our school. It keeps you updated on our calendar, all those different things. So kids, who we all know, I mean, I've got a teenager at home, and without his phone, you would think that the world's coming to an end.
Yeah, right.
They live on those things. So I think this is a great way for us to meet them where they are, so to speak. So they can download the app and they can keep up with some of the things that we do.
I'm gonna have to have you build me an app. Oh man, that's really cool.
Yeah, and you know the iPad or iTunes or whatever, that app takes longer because Apple has to approve it.
Oh, do they?
So, yeah.
You can't just throw it out there.
No, Apple's a little more stringent than Droid is more open source, I think.
Gotcha.
So that I think VenueGen really is, I think, an innovation using avatars to instruct kids and to create these virtual environments. In fact, we were the first school that ever contacted them, and
I mean, is there going to be public schools in the future here? This is kind of pretty wild.
Well, I think there will. I think that what's happening in education, though, is we are shifting. I mean, it's happening. If you look at Florence right now, all the high schools are on a one-to-one laptop initiative.
Right.
There's a lot of talk right now about the flipped classroom, where lecture is done online in video format. Kids do a lot of the information gathering at home, and then kind of the analysis, synthesis, creation from that new knowledge happens at school. We're a one-to-one initiative in Florence. I think predictions are nationally that by 2020, all kids in high school will be taking at least one of their courses online. So, I think this innovation is coming, and what we found as a school is, online is absolutely, it's not for everybody.
Right.
Just like I think the brick and mortar traditional schools haven't worked for everybody.
You just lose that. You lose the social aspect.
I think,
real social interaction, not the social aspect, the real one-on-one social interaction
that you seeing kids in the hall.
Yeah, right. Going up and shaking their hand, whatever.
Right. And some of that I think we can combat by doing more social events, which is what we're working towards doing. That's a really important part of school, though. It
is, yeah.
It's a really important part of school. I think Mark Twain said, "Don't let college interfere with your education." I think that the academic part is absolutely, obviously paramount, but we have to address kids as whole people, and I think we're really striving to do that at Florence Virtual Academy.
I have definitely noticed, and now this is in the past. This is without the innovative stuff. I know some parents who homeschool their kids, and I've noticed their children have a little bit on the introverted side. But see, now that's why you're bringing all these really cool things into it, and that's going to get rid of that, and that's great.
Yeah, because what we want is we certainly want to try and help kids. There are some kids who socially, struggle, and for many of them, this is a good option because they're able to work on school without dealing with some of those social issues in a negative way. But I think it's important that they don't ignore those social issues.
And then maybe once they get mature to the point where they can handle it, you can get them back into the public school system or keep them on that road.
And I think that, what we've done, I think, a good job of is being very willing to work with kids and meeting their needs, whatever those are. If we're not working for a kid, we want to help that kid to be able to be successful in a brick and mortar school.
Right.
I mean, it's Florence High School, Poston Butte High School, Why not push kids to, if they're having trouble in our school, but they're willing to work, the objective is for them to be successful, regardless of where that happens. Obviously, we want that to happen with us, but
because Florence School District has such incredible technology, culinary programs, all these specialty things,
right.
Is that bringing anything to the online?
Well, I think what it does is it adds a kind of a wider variety of opportunity. Florence, the reputation of Florence, I think, is growing as an innovative district that hits the needs of children on all levels. And you look at the technology, you look at our athletic programs, you look at our culinary programs at both schools, now FFA at our schools. So I think that we're really growing in a very positive direction to try and meet the needs of a wide variety of kids. It certainly doesn't detract from the kids who want to come to the online school, that's for sure.
Is that something new, the FFA?
Yeah, I think they just started that this year.
Really?
Yeah.
I would think in an area like this that would be the first thing they'd start.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons they did it is because they felt like
a lot of cows in the area.
There was, and there's an interest on the part of students.
Absolutely.
And if we can get kids engaged in school and capitalize on their interests in other areas, then I think that's what we ought to really work to try and do.
I think the animal programs are very important. The farming stuff. That's especially in this kind of area. That's a staple.
Absolutely.
You still doing the other program, the health program?
Yeah, we are. It's Impact Childhood Obesity. It's a Florence Impact. Basically, which is improving movement and physical activity for children and teachers. So Florence as a district has implemented 30 minutes of recess every day for every kid, grades K through 5, which I think says a lot about our focus on the whole child.
I have to ask, though, and this is something I'm curious about since I have a couple of kids in your district. Why is PE not a prerequisite? Why is that not pushed? I mean, especially with all the video games and kids just are not active anymore, and that, of course, leads to childhood obesity and everything else. Why is PE something that they have to give up band or they have to give up something they love to do?
Well, I think that PE and specials, sometimes get a bad rap, and PE has changed. The days of when we were in school where the coach came out, rolled out the ball, and said play.
That's not the case anymore?
Those are over.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it follows a structured curriculum. Our PE teachers, I think, do a very good job and are working to do a better job of integrating other content into what it is that they do in their PE groups with the kids. Unfortunately, when you're in a budget crisis, as we are, if cuts have to be made, they have to be made somewhere. And I think oftentimes specials and those kind of courses get the brunt of that.
But PE?
And
I'm not trying to put you on the spot here.
It's a tough call.
I've been wanting to ask somebody this for a while.
Well, it's a really tough call.
Yeah, what else is there that you could cut instead of PE? Do you still have home economics?
On the high school level, they offer...
High school, right.
They offer those, and PE is a requisite for our high school kids. They have to take a semester.
Was it before? When we were in high school? I think
I always take it.
I always had to have
PE. Back in North
PE.
Carolina, you had to take at least half a credit of
Matter
PE.
of fact, I was like, PE again. Does school still have locker rooms?
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all that's the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And I think, what you'll see is also our teachers, and it certainly doesn't take the place of PE, but our teachers are doing a better job of integrating some physical activity into what they're doing in the classroom every day. Let's face it, sitting for 6 hours a day, I don't want to do that.
What about they have these programs where the kids get, what is it called, full day?
Mm-hmm.
What about if they make them run? Inside the gym, not outside. I know it's 183 degrees out, but
like run on the surface of the sun.
Right.
But what we don't want to, what I think what we don't want to do is we don't want kids to see PE as a negative,
As
or
a
physical
punishment,
activity
like
as a
prison.
punishment.
Oh, I got to go to prison today.
Exactly.
Right.
What we want them to do is realize that, and it's not about being some muscle-bound, super fit person.
Right.
But what it is about is taking positive steps to improve your health and wellness.
And a lot of them have fun with it.
Absolutely. And PE is still a ton of fun. But I think that it follows a more structured curriculum now than it ever has.
What does that mean?
Well, what it means is...
Give me an average PE day.
Well, I think it depends on the grade level, but I think that
Let's say 8th, 9th grade.
What you see more of is instruction on technique, how to strike a ball, how to throw a ball, how to kick a ball, those things. Because on the elementary level, those are things, unfortunately, when I was an elementary principal, I would see kids who didn't know how to throw, or they didn't
How
know
to throw?
Not very effectively. I would see kids who couldn't effectively hit a baseball.
Right. Yeah, there's always those.
And it seems that a lot more kids are having challenges with that. So, when I was an elementary principal, we implemented 45 minutes of physical activity every day for every kid. And our academically, we did very well, but sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's right.
But we also saw, we saw kids improve in their physical fitness levels.
Right.
I had second graders and first graders who could do push-ups that were, beautiful form.
Wow.
And you don't see that as often as you used to, for sure. So we're definitely, I think, making positive strides in that regard.
Didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
No, that's all right.
Just curious about that.
Well, I think PE is absolutely an integral part of what we ought to be teaching in schools. I think everything that we're doing in schools is important.
Right.
That's our challenge is, when funding is limited, where do you cut? So I think the Florence perspective this has been keep those cuts as far away from children as we possibly can. So I think they've done a great job of that.
Do you have anything to do with the bullying thing, the bullying programs?
Well, as a principal, obviously was involved in the, the implementation of the bully button and the anti-bullying campaign that the district has taken on.
How's that going?
I think it's going very well. As a district, I think we've taken a strong stand on bullying. And what we've said to kids is that you matter. And kids have to feel safe. And when I say they have to feel safe, it's not necessarily that they feel that they're going to be in danger of physical harm, but they have to feel that they can walk down the hall without being teased. They have to feel like they can ask a question in class without being laughed at. So I think creating those safe environments is all part of the anti-bullying campaign, and holding those accountable who are doing the bullying is one part of it, but also meeting the needs of those who are doing the bullying and being bullied is also a part of it.
So I have a question for you, because I'm in a lot of different groups and chambers and different things, and I hear a lot of talk from parents. Let me just give you a scenario here, and just give me a general idea of how it's handled, so people out there can understand how this takes place and not wonder, oh my God, there's a bullying program. How does it work? Mm-hmm. Let's just say that, and if you don't know, just tell me.
Well,
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No problem.
What happens if there's somebody bullying somebody else? Mm-hmm. Let's just say a couple little girls. Let's say 6th grade. They're bullying. One's bullying the other one. The other one goes and tells the assistant principal. Mm-hmm. What then happens? What's the process from there?
Well, I think part of this program is
if the 6th grader that's being bullied is really actually afraid.
I think they're afraid of two things oftentimes. First thing they're afraid of is the bullying continuing.
Right.
Second thing they're afraid of is it's going to get worse because I've gone and I've told an adult.
That's right. Absolutely.
So I think what has to happen and what does happen is open, honest communication. I think that it certainly begins with the foundation, which is one of our foundational principles as a district of establishing trust. And kids feeling that they can come to us and they can trust us to handle situations. And then I think it involves a conversation with those kids where we say, this is what's going on, get to the root of what the problem is. There's a form that the parent fills out. They're made aware of that the administrator has taken action. What action is, they can't, administrators obviously can't share what action they've taken. With
Of course.
kids. But, I think there's a clear trail.
Is there an action taken if it's not the thing like you get when you call the police on somebody who's stalking you. Oh, well, there's nothing we can do until that person's actually physically assaulted you. That's not the case, right?
No. And again, it goes back, Joe, to the feeling of safety.
Right.
It's not just a physical thing; it's an emotional thing. And dealing with kids as whole people, I think, is a strong point of our district and of what we're trying to do in our schools. So when you deal with kids as whole people, you don't just look at an academic test score, but you try and meet them, which we're doing with our reteach and enrich in all of our schools. We look at where they are and we try and meet them where they are so that we can help them to be successful. And that's not just academically, that's emotionally and physically as well.
Makes sense.
So, yeah, and I think, again, we've taken a stand for kids. Which,
just lots of great things going on in the Florence Unified School District.
Absolutely.
I know that as I hear something on the news nationally that's going on that's crazy, and then the next thing I know, Florence Unified School District has implemented a program to make sure that doesn't happen within this school district, and that is why I like my kids going there.
I think
the proactive approach.
I think, but that, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that as a district, there is a concerted and conscious effort to be proactive versus reactive, and to try and address problems. Dr. Nine tells us all the time that he wants us to problem find.
Right.
So we can,
which is rare.
So we can solve them before they become.
That's not. I wouldn't say that's the norm. As a superintendent of a school district, you've got Dana Hallman, Dr. Nine, Dr. Fuller, yourself. You've got the puzzle pieces put together to where these things can happen and you can make positive changes. But I don't know if it's been just a hard search or if the school district is just lucky to have the qualified people, because I can't see every district having this kind of. The quality of the people here are amazing. This must be an amazing district across the board.
Well, you look at the gains that have happened, and I think they've come about because of the vision of our leadership and the absolute commitment to doing what's best for kids. I think that if you look at our team of administrators, you're going to look at a group of people. I know I go to those meetings, and there is not a person in that room who I would not be 100% comfortable with being the principal of my child's school.
Yeah, every administrator and every person that I have met on the upper end of the administration chain of the Florence Unified School District, I can say I know from getting to know them and talking to them that they really do care, and it's not just, let's say this on the top, let's be a politician, let's be a whatever, so it sounds good, let's do what sounds good. That's not the case here.
No, it's not. And I think, unfortunately, saying what you mean, meaning what you say, and then walking that walk.
That's right.
Is not as common as it once was. And that's one of the reasons I love being in Florence, because we say what we say and then we walk the talk.
For those of you just joining in, I've got Dr. Chris Lineberry here from the Florence Unified School District. Dr. Lineberry, what's your title?
I'm the principal of Florence Virtual Academy and the director of Project Impact.
And we're just talking about we're going a little bit out of the box probably from what we were intending on talking about, but it's been a year and a half.
It's been a while.
And I like to catch up, and I know people like to get a broader idea, and I think since you're here, rather than just talk about the virtual academy, we might as well throw a few other things in to help educate people, since a lot of parents are making decisions this week and next week and the week after of where their kids are going to go next year.
Absolutely.
And it's an important time for us to come out and talk about what's going on with Florence Unified School District versus all the other ones around and all the other options, and now with all the charter schools around, it's not just when I was a kid, okay, you're going there.
Yeah.
That's the option.
The
You're
times have
going there.
changed.
You better not screw up because you're going there, and if not, you're in trouble. Now parents and people have options.
Yeah, they do.
And Florence Unified, there's a reason to go there. A lot of reasons to go there, and that's why my kids go there.
Mine
and
too.
Your kids go there.
Absolutely.
That's right. And if you, being the principal of one of the Florence Unified School Districts, schools, and knowing the internal operation, you're comfortable sending your kids there, that should tell a message in 100-fold.
Absolutely. And, I mean, there are just so many great things that I think we're doing. I think the seniors at Florence High School have amassed, and my number may be off here, but somewhere around $1.5 million in scholarships this graduating class. Phenomenal.
And now with CAC partnering up and setting up that program, I mean, oh my God,
Poston Butte's got their first graduation coming up.
That is exciting.
Next week, which is tremendous.
How many kids are graduating approximately? I know that's a tough number.
I know there are roughly 1,800 kids in the school. So I would think between 400 and 600, somewhere around there. Probably closer to 600 than 400.
Gotcha.
So they've got, and their sports programs have taken off. Florence's sports programs are winning on the field, and as Mr. Knutson likes to say, we win in the field and we win in the classroom.
I've got a good question for you, and again, I'm asking things I don't know if you know anything about, but if you do, cool. I've had a lot of people asking me, since we're the radio station out here, if I know anything about the senior prank that happened. Senior pranks have been going on since the start of schools, I'm sure.
Right.
And I remember the other day, my kids were home at 9, and I'm like, "What, you guys? What's going on?" And the buses were broke down. Come to find out, it was just a little innocent senior prank that got a little out of control, possibly, and maybe didn't go off right. I guess some tires were let out of some of the tires.
Some vandalism, yeah. The tires were, I think, deflated.
Deflated tires, right. And that takes a little bit to get them pumped back up and whatnot. What happens in a situation like that? And I guess the kids came forth, right?
Yeah, they did. Dr. Papalardo had a meeting with all of the students, and he told them that he needed to know who had done it, laid down some ground rules and some expectations, and the guilty parties came forward and have been dealt with. So, and school continues. I think that when you think about the land size of our district, it's about 75% the size of the state of Delaware.
Wow,
it's big. These buses, it impacted us district wide, but again, people step up in difficult situations.
Right.
Dr. Nine tells us frequently, you're in leadership positions not for only when times are easy, but you're in your leadership position for when times are difficult, and we're measured by how we respond when difficult times occur. So, to be able to deal with 26 out of 28 buses being affected.
26 out of 28.
I think that was the 9. And again, I could
No.
Could be a little off on the.
And the only reason I even brought it up is because these things happen across the board, but it was swiftly and sharply dealt with. The kids got right back to school. Everything was handled, and discipline was taken. Bam, and done.
Absolutely.
And this didn't drag out for 2 weeks. This
No.
wasn't something that, we got 6 of the buses going, but 18 of them are going to. It was done. Bam, within an hour or so, and. It was handled, and it was handled well.
It goes back, I think, to the way the district works together.
And what was amazing to me was Dana Hallman called, and it was one of those messages. Of course, you couldn't call that many people. Yeah. It's wonderful. She called and she said, "Explain what happened," and briefly, and then said, "If your child does not catch the bus, that's going to be there in 10 minutes." There'll be another one coming in 30 minutes, so please have them out there. So there were options, and you guys didn't, kids weren't left at home because they weren't ready when the buses got there because they were late.
Sure.
Bam, they were there another time. So it was, I'm sure it was a very You guys pulled it together tight.
Well,
that was awesome.
It goes back to the leadership, and then being able to draw resources from the Florence area, Florence High School, and those buses, and being able to get those drivers after they taken care of their stuff down in the Florence area to be able to come up here and help with that. Again,
right.
It just speaks to the kind of the common vision of kids first. We got to get them to school.
Are you taking new students? Obviously, you are for your virtual school.
Absolutely, we're constantly in open enrollment.
How can parents find out about that? Get a little more information.
Absolutely, they can go to our website, which is www.fva.fusdaz.org, or you can just go to Google and type in Florence Virtual Academy, and it'll pull up. There's a lot of information on our website. There are videos that show how our learning management system works. We use the Florida Virtual School Curriculum, which is used by over 220,000 kids globally every year. They've been doing online schooling since the late 90s, which in online schooling terms that's ancient. I was actually at the International Conference for Online Schools back last November, and the old timers were people who've been doing this for longer than 5 years. I mean, that's
amazing.
Yeah, that's kind of how new the whole thing is.
A lot of people in the late 90s didn't even have computers.
Yeah,
so that's
exactly. And so Florida's been doing that, and we use their curriculum, of course, tied to Arizona standards, et cetera. But there's some videos that show how that works. There's a video up there of me as an avatar. Doing an introduction. There's a link to our Facebook page, information about how to sign up. They can fill out a form online and submit it, and somebody will be in touch with them usually within 24 hours.
Are there fees incurred with the online school?
The only fee that would be incurred is if we have a student who lives within our district and who is in need of a computer. If they're a Florence student and they're in need of a computer, then we will provide them with a computer, but they have to pay the $50 insurance premium. That comes with the computer. That's it.
That seems very fair.
And they have to supply their own internet. So
$50, that's
not bad.
Not bad at all.
No, sir, not bad at all.
And if with the way the internet is now, even people that can't get a high-speed line in their area now can go down to Verizon or T-Mobile or one of those places, and for $29 or $39 a month can get a high-speed hotspot.
Yep.
You set it next to your computer, and bam, you've got high-speed
internet.
And
there are businesses throughout Santan Valley and all over the place that have free wireless.
That's right. They can go sit at Starbucks.
Yeah, we used to say that the McDonald's up at Johnson Ranch was my north office.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
I was meeting a lot of students there who are interested in enrolling in our school. So, and it was because they had free Wi-Fi. But there are a lot of places that kids can get that, and we can enroll anybody in the state of Arizona right now at no charge to them.
You mean I didn't know that? I thought it was just the district here.
Oh, no.
So no charge to the whole state?
No charge.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
And one more time, how can they find out information about this?
They can go to our website. Accredited. We've been recommended for accreditation. We work with students who are in grades 6 through 12. They can go to our website, which is www.fva.fusdaz.org, or they can just go to Google and type in Florence Virtual Academy, and we'll pop up.
And highly recommended. Check that out. Give yourself some options and see if it's a right fit for you. I mean, Dr. Lineberry here covers the gamut of making sure things are going right. And you could personally get a hold of him anytime if you're enrolled, correct?
Absolutely.
To ask questions, just like a regular school. It is a regular school.
Joe, it even goes one step higher than that. I mean, the kids all have my email, but they have my cell phone number. So I make myself available. So if they're
who wants to call the principal, unless
you'd be amazed.
unless there's an issue, so that's not really a problem for you, right?
No, and I want them to.
And
call
you welcome
me.
that.
Absolutely. I was on the phone with a couple of seniors who were trying to get wrapped up last night until about 8:30. But that's what we do.
One-on-one with the principal with 120, how many,
126, something
126 students. That seems like it's too good to be true. It really does.
We've really worked hard. And again, this staff that I've put together, when Dr. Nine and I talked about what the staff needed to look like, he told me, you need to go out and you need to find rock stars. You need to find people who connect well with kids, and you need to find people who got a little bit of rebel in them.
Yeah, not the people that just you got to be a teacher because you love it, and that's it. If you don't love being a teacher, go be a plumber. Go do something else, because you're not doing our kids any justice if not.
Amen. And, you can't be a Pontius Pilate educator.
And that can't be easy to find people. You must go through a lot of interviewing and a lot of...
in Florence, it was easy.
It was?
It really was. I mean, the people that I've got on my staff, I have a person who did naval intelligence for 6 years, worked as a lieutenant on a K-9 unit in Mississippi for 3 years, and has been teaching for 3 years.
So Florence area is breeding natural-born educators.
Well, these people are they're committed, and this wasn't this person's first career. They're here because this is their passion. I've got an engineer on my staff who has a master's degree in secondary education and is working on his doctorate.
What does he teach?
Teaches math.
Wow.
My English teacher has a master's in English and a master's in instructional technology. One of my science teachers worked with NASA, attended Cambridge, and studied Shakespeare at Cambridge.
Oh, my God.
She's in charge of the Shakespeare program at Poston Butte.
That is great.
My PE teacher, as I said, PE teacher and a licensed personal trainer. My Spanish teacher.
The PE teacher's a licensed personal trainer.
She is. Now, she doesn't obviously work with our kids that way, but
gotcha.
That contributes to her knowledge
My God,
base.
she knows what's going on.
Denise Gibson, who's our Spanish teacher, teaches at CAC as well as Florence High School, as well as through ITV, teaches Spanish to all middle school students in the district.
Is that a Ustream thing?
Actually, with ITV, you see them and they see you. So she has a screen that she looks at where she sees all the students that she's teaching from multiple sites at the same time.
I want to get in on that.
It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. So I really feel like this staff is what has really helped to lead us to the area of success, or to any success we've had thus far can be directly attributed to the success and the hard work of this staff, and of course the awesome kids that we have.
I mean, there's only weaknesses in the organization if you have issues with your staff.
Right, and I really feel like we try and get back to kids within 24 hours. Assignments are graded within 72. The staff is just they're phenomenal. When we went through the accreditation process, that was one of the things that the accreditation team commented on repeatedly, was the caliber of individuals that we had on our staff. So I'm extremely, I probably could tell, I'm extremely proud of them and the hard work that they've done to help this school get where it is.
Do we want to cover anything else? I'm ready to go back to Florence Unified School District and start taking classes myself.
Well, I think the other thing I'd say is, we're going to be doing summer school this summer.
Okay.
Summer school is opened up to any kid in the state of Arizona.
What's the length of it, and how does that work?
It's going to start, the cutoff date for registration is June 4th. I believe our first day of class is going to be June 8th.
So they still have some time to get in on that. Is that the same? Just jump on the website, check it out.
Jump on the website, check it out. There's a summer school link. If they're out of district, they can call my office, and we can get them some information on that. And they can get all that information.
Because it doesn't matter if they're out of district.
It doesn't. If they're out of district, summer school there is a charge for all kids.
But it's not a lot.
$75 for a half credit and $150 for a full credit.
Cheap.
Which, the advantage of doing it online is, you're going to go out of town, not a problem.
You can do it from
you have
your
internet
cabin
access,
in Pine
you're
Top.
Good. Yep. Now you got to be back in person to take the exam, and you got to pass the exam to pass the course.
And you cannot wear a mask to do that.
We're also offering acceleration courses. So if there's a student out there who wants to take let's say they want to take a, earth science or physical science to accelerate and be ready for a class next year, or they want to take geometry over the summer so they can take Algebra 2 next year and they're a sophomore because they want to accelerate their learning.
Right.
If they have their principal's permission and it needs to be signed on our form, they're able to sign up and take that class as acceleration.
Well, I know with the partnership you guys have going on with CAC, where you've got kids going half the day to the Florence Unified School District, half the day to CAC.
Cavett.
It's amazing.
Yeah, Cavett is outstanding.
I had a girl in here because we do the KQCKlive show. Did you know that we partnered up with CAC?
I think I was looking on your website this morning actually and saw that. So yeah,
we had a girl in here, 18, already with I believe she had 2 degrees already, 2 associate degrees. Very smart. And then I guess there's also a girl, 15, who has graduated and is already in her 2nd year at CAC. I mean, these are blowing me away.
Yeah, well, and then our partnership with Cavett, the vocational and technology, and we've got kids who are, getting experience in emergency medicine like EMT or EMS, massage, building.
Massage?
Yeah, as massage therapist and
wow.
associate.
And they've got that culinary program there, too.
Culinary is outstanding.
Amazing.
At both schools.
Yes.
They also can do construction, welding. There's just a variety of opportunities. Police. There's a variety of opportunities, and again, we've partnered with Cavett, and I think again, it's about giving kids as many opportunities as we can to reach their potential.
I'm surprised there's not an influx of people coming from all over the world just flooding you guys to where you...
We actually got a call, Joe, from Ghana.
From Ghana?
From Ghana, South Africa.
Wow.
From a lady, or Liberia, who wanted, I can't remember, I'm not sure of that, I think it was Ghana, who was interested in potentially partnering with us to give her students another opportunity.
For the online?
For the online.
And you know what? And it's funny because that's the bottom line these days. Just like with my radio station here, no, we're not on the AM side. We tried that, it didn't work. But you know what has happened? Now people are finally realizing that, oh my God, why would I want to be on the AM side and hit that many people when right now I hit a worldwide audience?
Right.
We have over 31 countries that listen to this station.
Unbelievable.
And I know because I look at all the numbers and I'm
right.
amazed every time. I've got a Thursday show. I regularly get calls from Holland, Germany, Amsterdam, Korea, all over the world to give their input on what's going on and to talk about it. And it's such a rush when that happens.
Oh, absolutely. And we've partnered up with a company that will allow us to proctor exams. So if we have students who are out of state, and again, it would be certain circumstances that would allow for that, but we're able to proctor their exam via the internet. What's cool about it is the kid shows their ID. They have to show their workspace. They have to have a webcam and a mic, obviously.
Right.
They show their workspace, etc.
Which you can get for $5 these days.
Absolutely. It also logs in with their computer. So once they start the session, anywhere they go on their computer is tracked. There's a camera their own webcam is watching them, and then there's a mic. So if they're sitting at their computer and they're doing their work, it's not a problem. If you've got somebody standing off to the side giving you answers, we're going to hear it, etc.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's called ProctorCam, and man, it's. We've had one situation where we've had to use it this year where we had a student who had some extenuating circumstances with illness in the family, etc., and we were able to use ProctorCam to give their exam to them.
Wow.
And it really worked. And we have, that's a group of kids that I think oftentimes, homebound services are set up for kids who are sick often,
right,
in and out of hospitals.
Right.
with us, we can help those kids.
They're still getting
in
educated.
a huge way. They're still getting
Which
educated.
would have never happened before without the
and
internet.
They're still a regular part of the public school. And they can still attend these meetings as avatars and interact with kids and walk around. And you know what? Nobody knows that there's anything different about it.
That is fantastic.
It's really a tremendous, powerful, powerful tool.
I don't know where we were the last time you came out here, but you have the school on Facebook and all that, right?
Yes. We have our own Facebook page. We have a Twitter account. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook.
Look at where we're at from the last time you came out. There's our Facebook state radio page.
I know. That is unbelievable.
It's amazing, huh?
31,000.
That makes me proud.
Yeah, we friended you.
Awesome.
we liked your page. Absolutely. Yeah, we've and our Facebook page has really, we don't have a huge following. We do have a parents page.
It just, you know what? It builds, and I found when you hit a certain number, it starts to kind of exponentially, grow within your network.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening with us, and it really, what a difference it makes in getting it out to the people. You send a message out there, bam, you've got 55,000 people that are getting it now. And
it's pretty cool. I know that my wife and I had a baby a couple of weeks ago, and what I really like about this too is the relationships I'm able to establish with students, where they're concerned and asking about, I get a message on our Facebook page that says, has your wife had the baby yet? And I was able to put on that page that we had, and a lot of kids commented.
Oh, that's really cool.
They liked the post or whatever.
Right.
But in fact, I put up that we were talking today on our Facebook page. So,
what is the Facebook for?
It's Florence Virtual Academy.
Let's find it here. Florence Virtual. Come on.
It'll come up as 2 words. You gotta get a space in there.
See how I am? Florence Virtual. There we go.
There's a parent group, and then there's a Longhorn down there where it says places. So there's one of our students, Kelsey Luchin.
I'm the 100th person. Look at that.
Look at that.
See that? That is awesome.
It's pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. There are some pictures of our teachers and our staff.
Can't wait to cruise through and look at it.
Yeah, and we've got some video up there from the actual accreditation meeting. We broadcast their summary live, and that lives on the Ustream site, so you can hear firsthand what
does Dr. Nine think about that?
Dr. Nine was actually in the room when we broadcast, and was there and present for the entire meeting.
Well, if you called me and you wanted to get a lot more reach, we could just simulcast your Ustream on the air when you're doing it.
I think it'd be phenomenal.
I'd love to.
We'll have to work something out.
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, anything to get the public educated and know what's going on within our own area. I mean, we're happy to help.
Well, thank you.
For sure.
Thank you very much.
For
That's
sure.
Fantastic.
Can you believe we've already spent an hour just...
No, it's gone fast.
Lucky we didn't have
fast.
scripts, huh?
I know.
Anything else we want to cover today, or
if people are interested in the summer school, they can get information from our website. If you're a parent of a student or a student who's within district, they can get information from their guidance counselors at either Post and Butte or at Florence, and you can register and you can pay right there. And we'll do the pickup for computers for in-district kids. Will be on June the 8th, and then I think we start that next Monday with a meeting, in-person meeting this time versus online, just to kind of give the kids a better feel for teachers, etc.
Be able to put a name with the face, really,
right.
I mean.
And then we're going to be monitoring them that first week that the kids come in. Any day that they're not online for an hour, the parent's going to get a phone call. So I can track.
Wow.
I can track to the second how much time kids are spending online. And
well,
where
enjoy
they're
doing that
spending
now
the time.
while there's 126.
Right. But that's how we take attendance and we get our funding is through time online. So we're able to track to the second how much time kids are spending and where they're spending it. It's interesting to see, I'll have a parent call and say, Chris, I'm really concerned. Little Johnny didn't pass their test that they took the other day. And I'll say, well, let's
But
take
knows a lot
look.
about lingerie now?
Right.
What's up with that?
Yeah. Well, we can block them on our
Right,
computers
right.
with that. But
That's what I wanted to hear.
Right. But they, I can pull it up and I can see how much time they spent on the test. So little Johnny got a 20 on the test, but
he's never looked at it, so he guessed on that and got the
spent
20.
45 seconds
Right.
doing it. So it's a great tool for parents. And the other thing I'll say, I'll share a funny story with the,
No, that's okay.
with the oral component of the classes where the kids talk to the teachers, etc. We had a child last year who was doing very well academically in biology. And like every test, every assignment she turned in, not test, every assignment she turned in, she was getting 100 on. So before she took the test, she had to do the oral assessment where the teacher calls and kind of quizzes her about what she's covered. And you got to be able to think on your feet.
To make sure she's legit.
And you have to know the material.
Right.
If you can have a discussion about it, you probably understand it.
Right.
The teacher asked her what kingdom some bacteria belonged to.
Which would have probably been a really super standard question if knowing the material, right?
Yeah, and the student's response was the United Kingdom. So it raised some red flags.
Yeah, just a few.
And we were able to determine that we needed to reevaluate that student's work, and the kid came clean. So, technology is great, but we have to be vigilant as well as maintain those high standards, because it's only worth what it's worth. And
Right.
if we don't maintain a high standard, then it makes passing the class or getting the diploma not meaningful.
Right. And unfortunately, anytime there is something that people can figure out a way to get around, human nature says that certain people will try to do that and do it.
It's a lot like water. They take the path of least resistance.
That's right. That's right.
But, the instances of that have been minimal. We use Turnitin.com, and our teachers are pretty adept at figuring out when a kid's plagiarized. And I think we hold kids to a high standard, and then having them come in and take the exams, I think, takes things to a whole another level.
Most definitely. That most definitely makes sure that the kids are doing the work.
Absolutely.
Because you can't go through a semester, then go take an exam and get 85% by guessing.
Right. That's exactly right.
Well, hey, great things going on with the Florence Unified School District Virtual Academy, as well as the Florence Unified School District in these tough times, continuing to pull through with the great people on from teachers to administrators.
Yeah, and we need the continued support of our community.
And if you have a question or a comment, you can always get a hold of Dr. Lineberry and talk to him. You could always jump on the Florence Unified School District website and find Dr. Gary Nine, and he takes calls. If you have a concern about something going on, you're not a number, and you will not be avoided and just not called back. This district will find out what's going on and take care of you.
Absolutely, and we also have a district Facebook page that people can like and follow as well. There's some great video stuff up on there about the great things that our district is doing, and bond overrides and everything else. So
I noticed. What is the video project that you have going on with Santan Valley Today, the newspaper? I noticed that there's like daily, or I don't know if they're weekly or daily videos from Post and Butte. Do you know anything about that?
I don't.
Yeah, I see them up on. I see them up on that site, up on the Santan Valley Today publication site. On the right-hand side, I see a little video, and it's the kids from Post and Butte that are producing these
like
videos.
A news video?
Right, news videos. Very cool.
They actually have a studio with a green screen at Poston. They have a studio with a green screen at Florence, and they do their morning announcements that way. So, and the kids do all of that. That's
really,
more than likely what that is.
That is great. So check that out if you haven't seen that at Today Publications or SantanValleyToday.com, and you can look on the right and see the videos made by the Florence Unified School District.
Pretty cool stuff.
Kids, and one thing, my son's going to the 9th grade, so he's very excited. He's going to be going to Post and Butte. He cannot wait to join the video clubs. cannot wait to start getting involved in some of these. Going to high school.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine that. I mean, I never thought it would come so quick.
Like yesterday, I was holding mine here in one hand, and now he's a sophomore. You know, he's going to be a sophomore. And, yeah, it's crazy how fast it happens.
Well, I look forward to regularly, I hope, having you back rather
Love
than
to
a year.
come back.
Let's not make it a year and a half next time.
Agreed.
And again, Dr. Chris Lineberry with the Florence Unified School District Virtual Academy and the
Project Impact.
That slips my mind. Project
right.
Impact. And I just want to thank you for coming in. And I want to do a shout out to Dr. Nine and Dana Hallman out there, always doing a fantastic job to make sure things are running efficiently at the top.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Appreciate you having us. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you. And again, you listen to KQCK radio station. I'm going to go ahead and send you to some of our sponsors right now. Check them out. Always use our sponsors, taking care of your local radio station, and then some great music coming your way. Don't forget Doc Talk with Dr. Ann Borick at 1 o'clock. Always a great show. Growing quickly. If you have your medical questions you want to ask her, you can call in, get some advice, or hear about the great topic that is going on today. Unfortunately, I don't know what the topic is today, so it'll be a surprise to you and me both. This is Joe. Be with you shortly.
Why is it so hot in this room, yet cold in other rooms? There's got to be a solution.
You need to call the company For Your Comfort, servicing residential and commercial AC, heating, refrigeration, and low temp. For Your Comfort, LLC, is the company that makes you comfortable.